All those in favor?
An ordinance declaring the results of an election held on April 4th, 2023 in the city of Ozark, Missouri.
Okay, first thing we have is swearing in.
Still have to enact it.
Oh. We still have to adopt it. Okay, learn something new every day, you know? Okay. All right,
Your Honor, I move that we enact bill number 3441 as ordinance number 23-029.
all right. Motion was made by Alderman Galloway, seconded by Alderman Gardner to adopt Bill 3441 as ordinance 23-029. Can I get a roll call, please?
Alderman Alder.
Aye.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Gardner.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
Alderman Vaughn.
Aye.
Alderman Campbell.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes. Motion carries.
Now, we can do the swearing in of the new mayor, Don Kearns.
All right, raise your right hand. And do you solemnly swear or affirm that in my duties as mayor of the city of Ozark, I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Missouri, the ordinances of the city of Ozark, and the laws of the state governing the cities of the fourth class, that I am not indebted to the city of Ozark in any manner, and that I will faithfully demean myself in my office and discharge my duties according to the ordinances of the city of Ozark, beginning this 17th day of April, 2023. So help me God.
I do.
All right, congratulations. Alderman Ellen. We're gonna do just like we. No, all right. Yeah, take that sticky note off. Yeah. You guys will raise your right hand. And do you state your name? Thank you. Solemnly swear or affirm that in my duties as Alderman of the city of Ozark, I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the state of Missouri, the ordinances of the city of Ozark, and the laws of the state governing the cities of the fourth class. That I am not indebted to the city of Ozark in any manner, and that I will faithfully demean myself in my office and discharge my duties according to the ordinances of the city of Ozark, beginning the 17th day of April, 2023. So help me God.
I do.
Right, wonderful.
Okay. Yeah.
Goodbye, so. Okay, next on the agenda, item 1B is the election of Mayor Pro Tem. At this time, are there any nominations for the position of Mayor Pro Tem?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Galloway.
Okay, we have, Alderman Floor is nominating Bruce Galloway for Mayor Pro Tem. Are there any other nominations? Not seeing. Is there a second to elect Alderman Bruce Galloway as Mayor Pro Tem? Okay, seconded by Alderman Snyder. Okay, so election of Mayor Pro Tem, Alderman Bruce Galloway as Mayor Pro Tem, motion made by Alderman Flora and second by Alderman Snyder. All in favor of this, do so by showing of hands. And it's an affirmative. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. Item 1C on our agenda, this is our liaison assignments. This is on FYI, no voting will be required on this, but as for the administration and finances, Alderman Jean Ann Hutchison will be the liaison. For Park and Recreation, Alderman David Snyder will be continuing that role. For Public Safety, Alderman Bruce Galloway will be heading this up. For Public Works, Alderman RJ will be the liaison. For the Chamber Economic Development, Alderman Heather Alder will continue in that role. And for Planning and Development, Alderman Drew Owen will be heading that position as liaison. Did I go too fast? Are we good? Okay. Item 2 on our agenda is the election and appointment of a city clerk resolution.
Your Honor, I move that we read resolution 1983 by title only.
Second.
Okay, so resolution 1983, motion made by Alderman Galloway and second by Alderman Flora. This, I was waiting for Amanda to,
I'll read it after they,
okay, oh, that's right. So all in favor of this motion as so read, that motion by Alderman Galloway and second by Alderman Flora on the appointment of the city clerk resolution, do so by show of hands. And
a resolution electing an Ozark city clerk.
Okay. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this resolution from the floor? Okay. Not seeing any from the board response. Okay, at this point, okay,
Your Honor, I move that we enact resolution 1983.
Second.
and second by, okay, so resolution 1983, motion made by Alderman Galloway and second by Alderman Flora. So at this time, all in favor of this resolution, do so by show of hands. Okay, and it's affirmative. Thank you. Okay.
Congratulations.
Our next item, item number 3, bill number 3442. And
Make a motion to place bill 3442 on its first reading.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Alderman, okay. So bill number 3442, we have a motion by Alderman Owen and second by Alderman Flora. So all in favor of this motion, do so by show of hands. And it's in the affirmative.
An ordinance amending the zoning code and official map by changing the zoning classification of certain property described as tract 3 of the Old World Estates Planned Unit Development.
At this point, we'll have staff comments and probably begin with Cameron Smith.
Yes, good evening. This is an amendment to the Old World PUD. The southeastern corner, there's 2 existing tracts of commercial. The applicant has a request to amend that to be R3 medium family residential. The R3 medium family residential would accommodate 2 families, duplexes, or buildings containing up to 8 units per building. The zoning to the north is R1C single family. To the east is C2 general commercial. To the south is I1 industrial. And then to the west is R1C single family and R1P of patio homes. All the infrastructure is in place and was completed during the time of the platting of this development, and it is existing to serve this tract. During the development, either stormwater shall be controlled and piped to the existing detention system or shall be handled on site at the developer's option in working with staff. There is a buffer yard that is required along the western boundary and the northern boundary of the northern tract between the single family and the proposed R3, which so happens to be the same buffer that was previously installed when it was commercial. So the buffer yard is already in place at this time. The comprehensive plan notes the future land use in this area as single family residential. The requested R3 zoning would be more appropriate than the existing commercial based on a transitional zoning between the uses. The applicant or the application does conform to the PUD ordinance of mixed use or mixed intensities. The staff did recommend approval of the staff's finding and staff's report. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended denial of this application. Be happy to answer any questions.
Did they give a reason as to why they denied it?
There was a proposed question by one of the commissioners if they would be willing to maintain a one level story height. The applicant represented at that time would not commit to that, so that's the only thing that indicated maybe of why they might request that denial. Other than that, they were just in opposition to the staff's findings.
How many apartment complexes do we have within a half-mile radius? I know it's a hard question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a complex to the east on the eastern side of 22nd Street, which is an apartment complex. To the north, it's zoned there. I believe it's like an R2 or an R2 color, but it's R3, I believe, which are similar of these up to 8 units per building, which is that blue shaded north of the purple.
Would that road structure be able to handle the increase in traffic volume?
That was a concern that was brought up, but the traffic study was completed before. I do want to remind the board that this isn't apartments, these are up to 8 units. So depending on how they lay this out, there is an opportunity or possibility that the actual density could be less than what they could have gotten on commercial traffic. They're only allowing themselves up to 20 units across both properties. So whether that's 15 on one side, 5 on the other, or however you split up those 20, they're only allowing themselves up to 20 units in these 2 tracks.
Thank you for now.
Anyone else from the board?
Was there any direction as far as what amenities in Old World they'd be able to use, or is that something we haven't really got from the applicant yet?
This is still under that PUD, so they'll be able to utilize all the amenities that are in place.
Yes.
Just a quick clarification. So even though the R3 zoning would allow 4 buildings with up to 8 units on each lot, which would equal 64 units total, they're constraining themselves, or how does that work? Is it
Yes.
because it's a PUD?
If you look in your packet on page 3 or 3 of the summary, they have noted 2 total lots, 4.5 acres, number of dwelling units. They're restricting themselves up to 20 units total amongst these 2 lots together.
Can that change in the future? Can they add?
Not
more?
without amending the PUD. They would have to go back and amend the PUD if they want to change.
And that would again come before
Yes, that would come.
P and Z and
the board.
Yes.
Mr. Smith, when this was going through planning and zoning originally to acquire the PUD, I don't remember myself, but I was wondering if you remember how much the commercial element came into play at that time to approve the PUD.
Actually, this went through and approved either my first evening here at the city, or it was right before that. I don't recall the discussion about the commercial being a concern or what the thoughts were. I will let you know, though, that originally it was approved with R2 along the southern border. That was amended about a year later after the first approval to R1P patio homes. In both, or that case for sure, I don't recall any concerns about the commercial tracks at that time.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the board? Questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Smith. This time, the applicants. Yep. Comments. Evening.
My name is Mike Stalzer. I'm the engineer for the applicant. And as was said earlier, The developer's now committed to just doing single story structures, doesn't have any problem with that. Any other questions? Thank you.
No,
I didn't,
Alderman Galloway.
why is the change requested?
Why is the zoning change?
Yes,
I would assume it has the developers constructing things to sell in the market, maybe the feels this product would sell better at this time. I don't know his motivation for doing that.
okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, this time we're gonna be opening up to the public. I have a question. I'm curious. How many here from the old world are wishing to speak tonight? Can I just say show of hands? Okay. Just so you know, according to City Code, section 110.24, we are going to get limited up to 5 minutes. So please be thinking about what you're going to say. And also, we'll still be repeating if someone else already said that. But this time we're going to open to the floor. And who wishes to come first?
I'll go first.
Evening. Okay.
Good evening.
Okay.
Name, address.
Yes, sir. For the city clerk.
My name is John Woosley. Address is 4438 Venice Avenue, Ozark, Missouri. Good evening. Thank you for your time. I'm a resident of Old World Estates. I'm here representing solely myself. Myself and my wife, we own one house in the neighborhood that allows us one vote in our homeowners association. I spoke at the planning and zoning meeting that you mentioned before. They had the denial. Really, the concern is the builder in question made a lot of promises to our neighborhood that many have not taken place. So myself, my wife, and from what I've heard from other people in the neighborhood, we have concerns about the builder in general. This property was owned one way and now it wants to be changed. Typically, there's a reason for a change. Typically, the reason would be money. Property is worth more money to you in one way or the other. Why not zone it the way that you intended to zone it to begin with, if that's what your ultimate part was going to be? Our concern is really a lack of trust as far as what's going to happen with the person or with the properties themselves. Tonight, we now hear that now it's going to be single story and it's only going to be limited to 20 units. We were told the 20 before. I just have concerns overall in general as a homeowner in the neighborhood regarding the property itself. And so tonight, this is just a reading. This isn't a vote. Is this correct?
Yes.
So
This is first reading.
okay. So, anyways, our concerns I feel are valid in that the developer is not trustworthy. My understanding is that at one point the city had to step in to force the builder to finish the swimming pool in the neighborhood by the threat of withholding certificates of occupancy. I was already living in my house at the time. It wasn't going to impact me, but to me, that's a major concern. Now they're talking about adding additional families to live in up to the 20 units. My concerns on that part would be the impact of the homeowners association, the amount of dues, how the dues are collected. As we heard earlier from the city representative, people that are living in those properties would have full rights, full access to all amenities within the property or within the neighborhood. However, there's not an equal apportionment of dues because the dues are per lot. So if you put 20 units for 2 lots, how are they going to allocate those funds? What does that mean for our own association to have to collect those funds from upwards of 20 different addresses? right? Because there could be more than one person living in that unit presumably. So there's still a lot of questions. I don't think that we've had a lot of answers other than hearing tonight that, well, the architect says they're only gonna build single stories on there. Well, okay. Well, the builder said they were gonna build a playground. The builder said there was gonna be a sport pool. The builder said, the developer, builder, said there were gonna be all these other things in the neighborhood. There's a pool. Some people question the size of the pool, and the amount of homes in the neighborhood. There is no playground for the kids to play in. There's no sport court to play in. So there's still a lot of questions that we have as homeowners. So as you hear more from the developers for what they will end up doing, I just ask that you will ask questions, ask as many questions as you can, so that the people that live in the neighborhood will have a fair stake as far as what's going to happen right there in our neighborhood. As far as the best use of the property. Yeah, I like to tell a property owner what they can and can't do with the property. However, the zoning is put in place for a reason, and so therefore, hold to what was being built. Thank you for your time tonight, and thank you very much.
Now, I forgot to ask a question, Amanda. Can the board ask a question during this time? I forgot to ask you that question.
That's all right. Yes, the board may ask questions directed to a speaker at any time
Okay.
when they like.
Okay. Did anyone have a question for the speaker? Yeah, yes, actually, there are. Who? I didn't see who was first. Okay, Alderman.
John, do you mind coming back for a moment?
I'll
Thank
be
you.
glad to. I didn't get to answer questions too. That's
Yeah.
good.
It's zone C2 now, commercial. Would you feel better if that zoning, if it was commercial, if there was commercial buildings built there, would that be better?
I don't know what would be better. What I know is that when I moved into the neighborhood, we knew exactly what we had, and now there's a potential for a change, and we don't know what that change will bring. So my question just goes back to the developer. If you intended to develop it this way, and now you want to change it, there's no communication to the homeowners, to the homeowner association. I mean, we have an association, at least talk to them so that we even know what's going on. If we knew what was gonna be the final end result use of that property, there may not be as much anxiousness as far as any changes to that property.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman, wait.
Thank you. I mean, a theme in your comments is lack of trust in the developer, and you cited. And I wanted to ask you about, there were promises made of a sports court and playground. What do you know of those promises?
Well, what I know is that there is no sport court, there is no playground.
There was a promise made, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
In brochures or to the city?
Conversations, the developer of the neighborhood is the same person that built the residence that I purchased. So I've met with him, I talked with him in person during that process. The potential for a playground, I don't even have little kids. My kids aren't going to play in this playground. But I think a lot of the neighborhood kids would like to have one. Yes, there were documents that had that. I didn't have a brochure that came with the purchase of my home, but yes, there were promises, discussions, everything like that.
And then my second question. I'm assuming your HOA is active,
Yes, sir, it is.
and has there been a vote on this particular issue, or? So in other words, the HOA is opposed to this change?
The HOA is not in a position to affect the change, so I guess.
They haven't voted to support or oppose,
Not to my knowledge.
just hasn't come up, or didn't think they could do it, or?
Well, the way that the HOA rules were written for the neighborhood are very restricted as far as what the HOA can do.
Okay, so the thinking is you're forbidden by those rules to.
I'm not on the HOA board, so I can't speak. for
I
you.
didn't mean to cross-examine you, or put you on the spot. I was just trying to understand. I apologize. I wasn't trying to make you feel bad, certainly. I just didn't know. Thank you. That's all the questions.
Anyone? Okay, we had.
How long have you lived in the world? When did you
I've been in my home for a little over 3 years.
Did he give any timelines on any of the pool or I'm sorry, the sports courts or any of that? Was there anything when you guys
Not to my
talked?
recollection, it says, it would be done by X date or anything like that. To give you context. Purchased my home, the half of the neighborhood streets had not been paved yet, so we knew it was something that was not gonna be there. You know, the next day.
Yeah, sure.
My only question was for you is, and this is just to make sure I understand your stance is really the question is, if you knew that these were single story and they really were restricted to those and that's what would come to fruition, would that make you feel more comfortable with it? Or is it just the lack of confidence that's what will happen? Or is it actually what he's proposing?
I think it's a combination of things. One, yes, the change is always of a concern. You know, if your intent was to build single family homes, build single family homes, you add duplexes. Okay, you add duplexes. Well, then you change the duplex rules to where they only have to pay half the dues because even though you buy it separately, it only counts as one lot. So that affects the homeowner association. So now we're hearing that you're gonna have up to 8 units on, 20 units total with 8 buildings. And I think that's just something that it's a lot different than what we had going into it. If you drive by the properties, you drive down 22nd Street, you'll see there are already commercial properties over there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Owen? Oh. Okay, thank you very much, John. Okay, who's next? Okay. Welcome tonight.
James Beckner, I live on 47 North Venice Court in Old World States. I would hate to be a builder, quite honestly, but I want to say this, Mr. Counts, the guy the builder who's wanting to request this. I know I have a neighbor who had difficulties with his house. This neighbor told me that Mr. Counts came, took care of that in good time. He called him, he said he got right there, took care of it. So, you know, there's pros and cons either way you look at this. I think the real question here is the fear of the unknown. We've heard it's gonna be this, we've heard it's gonna be that. You know, frankly, what would make everybody happy in the world states is if they would put a playground in that place and then put the clubhouse in that place, I think everybody would be happy. Because and I know that's not gonna happen, but in our CCR, our old world states, it does say that we were to have a clubhouse, we were to have a playground, and there should be green space. We have, I think, 3 or 4 retention ponds, but there is no green space. There is no clubhouse, there is no playground. None of that happened. So what that creates is this idea of how can we trust what he says, or those says is gonna be put in this place, and is it gonna decrease the value of the homes that are already there? I don't know if that's gonna happen. Quite frankly, if you put in single homes, in my opinion, if we put in single dwelling homes or patio homes, I think we could probably live with that, knowing it's probably not gonna get the clubhouse or the playground. It's just one of those things. So those things are certainly concerns, and I think the whole issue is we just don't know what to believe. Because the other things that we're told that we're gonna have, it never happened. There isn't even a portion of the sidewalk from the mailbox to another house that was never completed. So overall states, our homeowner association is gonna have to take care of that, I suppose. Doesn't seem like that much money, but the point is, it should be taken care of by the builder. And so I think if these little things are left undone, I think the man has good intentions. I just think he doesn't always complete the things that he said he was gonna do. For me, that's a concern. So I don't know, and I don't even live on that end of the world states. We're in the first edition. And we like it there. I think there's good neighbors, like the people are good. They're just distrusting because things have not turned out the way it was printed in the information. So that's all I have to say. And if you have questions, I don't know if I can answer, but I'll try.
Okay, Galloway.
Sir, thank you. couldn't hear what you said. There was something that was incomplete on the other side.
The sidewalk from the mailbox up to the next house, it was a portion, I don't know, it was 10 or 12 feet. It was never completed. They never put the sidewalk in and finished that. Now, I don't know if that was his responsibility, but we as a homeowner association now have a responsibility to get that fixed.
So the sidewalk along the street from the
Yes.
mailbox that connects to the, doesn't,
Connects to the, yeah, connects the houses. Down there's a retention pond right there, and the boxes are here. You go up, it's about 10 or 12 feet or so sidewalk that was never completed.
do you recall the name of the street or?
Main Street, Diane, you remember what the name of that street is? It's Monte Carlo that turns and goes up. I mean, you can go there and see it. It's very obvious.
Then I had a question that I'm stealing from Alderperson Alder. It's zoned commercial now, so as long as it's commercial and fits within the parameters of that zoning, the builder that you talked about can put whatever he wants there. So in comparison, you're willing to take that unknown versus this unknown?
I think, since the city's already approved that. My concern is if he's wanting to change that zoning, what does he really want to put in there? I mean, he could put whatever he wants in there now, but we just don't really know what that's gonna look like. I think there's a lot of concern about what that's actually gonna look like for the rest of the community there. And I think here's the issue. It's still a trust issue. I mean, get right down to a trust issue because things that we were told were gonna be completed were never completed. We have no green space, we have no playground, we have no clubhouse that was supposed to be a part of all that. When we read the Old World Estates, what are the things called? Forgotten the name of it now, but our HOA thing that we read in the committee, it told us that all these things would be completed. But they've never happened. So can you understand the lack of trust that we have here? We don't know what's gonna happen. He might say one thing, but I don't know if that's really what's gonna happen. I know the city has codes. I know they're gonna have to follow that. So my concern is, I just don't see why you want to change it. There's got to be a reason why you want to change it.
Okay, Alderman Snyder.
Was there ever a date for these projects to be completed that was promised to you?
There was, I didn't say it was promised to me, I said it's printed in the Old World Estates, HOAs. I don't know if there was a date that was ever on there, but there is no place to put it.
Gotcha.
There's no green space. Where the pool is, there's very little space on one side or the other. I can't imagine put a playground there or a building that would that we could meet in or whatever. I just don't see it. So like I said, take that space up there, put a playground up there and the other building we're talking about up there, and then whatever that house in there. I think that'd make a lot of people really happy, but I'm not sure that's.
Gotcha. I was just curious if there was ever a projected time frame thought about.
I don't see anything in that, but the section of development is all completed except for one street that's still gonna have this already sold lot for houses. So there is no other place to do it. I don't know where to put it. There's no space.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Question for James?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay, who's next? Okay.
Mike Bowman, 4712 Lawrence Avenue, Old World Estates. So my wife and I moved into Old World Estates about a year and a half ago. We love the neighborhood. We have 2 little kids, an 8-month-old son, 3.5-year-old daughter. I'm a licensed real estate broker at Ernie. I've been doing that for about half a decade. I sell lots of properties every year. My wife and I own investment properties. Actually, all of the investment properties that we own are in Greene County and they're multifamily. And we love apartments, we love multifamily, we bought them, we own them. And my concern for the neighborhood is mainly the traffic, foot traffic, car traffic, pool traffic, and neighborhood values. So I have little kids and I love my little kids. And I feel like people take pride in their homes when they own them. as opposed to tenants who I deal with frequently may not take that same sort of pride. Maybe some do, maybe some don't. I do know that the qualifications for purchasing to live in are typically higher than to rent a property. So these are concerns that I have with people who are going to be living in my neighborhood where I love and raise my family. That maybe we would have people in the neighborhood that aren't as qualified as you would hope. And when we moved into the neighborhood, we were also under the impression that there's going to be a big, nice pool, as well as, and the pool is an okay size, but it may be smaller than what people had hoped. We're under the impression as well that we would have a nice playground in the sports area. I believe that that is in writing in the CCRs. I've not seen that, but I do know when I came a few weeks ago to the previous meeting about this rezoning, we saw it on the screen. It's part of the city documents, maybe an old document that the developer gave to the city, you know, at some process. So I've seen it on that screen where it means playground was promised. So I'm worried about traffic. I'm worried about the, you know, people living in the neighborhood and the pride of ownership. I'm also worried about the values, the property values of the property in Old World Estates. So my personal home appraised for $575,000. So that's a lot of money. And I invested that money thinking that I was going to be an owner occupant neighborhood. And in a perfect world, I would like for the 2 lots in question to be R1, build more houses and bring most R2, maybe a few more duplexes. So those are my thoughts, is mainly, you know, traffic, condition, people living in the neighborhood, and typically tenants live in a place less amount of time than a homeowner. So there'd be a little more turnover there. It's my understanding that the parking lots of this proposed multifamily structures will exit onto Athens Street, which is an interior street in the neighborhood, not 22nd. So let's see if I had anything else in here. Oh yeah, actually, since that meeting a few weeks ago, when I attended and a few other people attended, and we talked about the rezoning of these 2 lots. Since that day, we've had 2 people who own their homes in Old World Estates list them for sale that order up to these commercial lots. So there is a little bit of that going on where people are panicking, people are selling. And I believe some of the owners were selling even here at the meeting last time. I'd have to double check. So, and they're slashing their prices too. I mean, one reduced $25,000 after just being a few days in the market. So I'm, you know, largely concerned about the atmosphere of the neighborhood. Also, like our friends talked about, I'm concerned about the trust factor with the developer builder. I've never met Mr. Counts, but I've heard a lot of things and haven't seen the things happen. So that's my thoughts. And if you guys have any questions, would gladly do my best.
Anyone? Alderman Galloway?
I keep getting a reference to CCR. I don't know what that is.
Covenants and restrictions.
Okay,
Is
there.
that it?
Okay.
Covenants, I forget the second C, and restrictions.
Okay.
Covenants, conditions, restrictions, you got it. And I did see the playground on the city documents last time. We're not sure we can dig it up. But that was definitely, I mean, on the playground.
If you locate those documents, I'm sure we'll be asking for them.
Perfect.
You could send them to the clerk.
Okay,
Good. Thank you.
we can do that. Anything else?
Anyone else? Thank you, Mike. Appreciate your time. Okay, next, please.
Drew Beatty, 4206 Tuscany Circle. If you pull up the map, my property backs up directly to this proposed area. We bought that property knowing full well that it was commercial, and we were expecting to see something similar to, you know, whether it be a doctor's office or another shop, something with controlled traffic, controlled time, and an expectation of knowing exactly what it was and when it would be busy. Definitely did not expect to see the potential for medium density dwelling units, right? When we came to the planning and zoning meeting, one of our major questions was, what is it? What is it going to be? And why do we go medium density? There's no doubt, I mean, obviously, I work for Cronkite Homes. My big deal is always create more home ownership opportunities. And so for me, it's a great thing to move forward and have home ownership opportunities, whether that's a duplex or the like. But if we don't know what it is and we have to go medium density, why do we stray away from the patio homes? Why are we not looking at duplexes? Why is that not an option for us? And the real question to that is, how the heck are they going to fit? These are unique lots, to say the best, and it's very obvious that the most appropriate use of those is likely not going to give them enough to get the money that they wanted to out of it. So my fear is that you change the mistrust that you guys see. I luckily did not have Mr. Cansky building on my house. I'm very happy to say that I'm in love with the home that I live in. But the last thing I want to see is something in my backyard that my 4-year-old son and my 9-year-old daughter have to deal with, just random people moving in and out, much like he was discussing with his own children, right? Going into that, the distrust of what it is and what it will be by the time it's all said and done. Great, we just found out tonight, single story, that's what we're gonna do. And just as easily as he came up and said, hey, it's only gonna be single story, we can come back second reading, oh, by the way, we're gonna have to go 2 stories. Oh, you know what, we're gonna have to go 3. And because medium density allows for that, it can be done. And if it gets pushed to it, what's stopping it? And that's really the big question that everyone has. Why would we allow for that to be rezoned to something that doesn't set a restriction and then creates a opportunity for our neighborhood to have that increase on top of it, as well as much to the statement we do have homes immediately coming up for listings just because there's a potential that the unknown is coming in behind it. And we bought it specifically because we knew exactly what we were buying when we bought it. We're happy with the lots. We paid extra for those lots. You know, I definitely did not pay less for my home. I wish I could have, you know, if I'd been there, heck, I got a great deal. It's not going to happen that way. Much to that, my home was actually one of those homes that was potentially not going to get a C of O because the pool was not put in. Now, the bathtub that we have that we consider a community pool is great if I wanted to put it in my own backyard because it would definitely fit. But when you're talking about an entire community, it's a little bit of a problem. You even have issues with the fact that, if you have one busy weekend, forget it, chemicals care treated its entire week before we get it back to normal, because it can't handle the traffic already. So what we have doesn't fit what we are as a community. And the fact that, yes, in that PUD, there was a statement of 2 acres of green space. And when that was brought up, they literally pointed to all of the different retention areas. And I question who's going to throw their kids into the retention area and say, have fun, get eaten up by mosquitoes. It's a great night, right? So like to that statement, there's a lot of mistrust. There's a real question of what it is and why does it have to be medium density. And I think the biggest statement I want to make is, man, I'm all about let's make these ownership opportunities a reality in Ozark. Let's make it happen for more people. And Old World States is a fantastic community. So sure, let's make some more homes in there. Let's make it happen. But let's do it the right way. Let's zone it the right way. And let's move forward in a way that makes sense for everybody, community included.
Any questions? I have one. You probably don't know this, though. I went by and saw the retention ponds. I saw the pool. Do you know what's rated for as occupancy rate for the pool? You probably don't know that. But I saw the size of it.
Yeah.
How many homes are in a world state?
Does anybody have anything?
Like 300,
Okay.
300-ish.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. It does pose an issue there, right?
Board members, anyone questions for Drew? Okay. Thank you, sir, for your time. Anyone else who wish to speak? Okay.
Name's Armand now, 4100 Madrid Avenue. So I'm directly behind what the proposed rezoning lot is. Just concerned about what is going up there. Obviously, I don't have to elaborate on everything that's been said. Trust is a big issue. My question is why not rezone it as R1 or R2 if his intentions is single family homes? And single story, R3 opens up a lot of options to him. And I think trust is a big issue at this point. And I have a 3-month-old daughter, hoping to raise her there, but really like there's no green space. I'm gonna let her loose on that and been by a couple of times since it opened, and there's no way I mean, I can't even get into the fenced off area as families are stacking against it. So just concerned about, density, quality, like this gentleman said, homeowner is a little bit more proud of his property than we are. So that is what I have to say.
Thank you. Board members, anyone have a question? Okay, thank you for your time. Anyone else? Okay. Not seeing any other movement, therefore the public hearing segment is now closed. Board comments at this time. Alderman, Albert.
I would like to see the plat again when he presented the plat to us. Is that something that can be made available to us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I remember the playground, what happened to the playground? I would like to see the plat again.
Yeah, figure 2, I have in my book was the one that shows the playgrounds. Yes.
Just to clarify, in the package she's pulling up, it is the exhibits, it's not the actual plat, but it does call out some common areas, it's just keep scrolling.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, no, there you go, keep going. Be at the end of this is the actual PUD track on the applicant. So we'll go at the end of this here, and I'll start showing some exhibits. There you go.
Yeah.
So you can see kind of the blocks of common area detention.
The next one shows a better big picture.
Yeah, and then that lower right, there it goes highlighted, then you have the trail along the eastern side. So again, that's not the plat, but that is the exhibit that's in the PUD document, which is the zoning document. The plat won't actually indicate playground necessarily, it just show common.
Alderman Galloway.
I did have a question for you, Cameron. Okay, so the exhibit shows the playground, but that's not an enforceable document.
Yeah, that exhibit neighborhood park and amenities area doesn't specify, but in the PUD, I was looking at this as they were discussing, but the original PUD on page 1, usable park space, centrally located within the development of a nearly 2-acre park is proposed. The park is proposed to be ground zero for community development. It is the developer's intent to provide outdoor public space for the development of residents, a swimming pool, and provide a space where community gardens could be planned if so desired by the development residents. It does go on to say that the CCRs might further clarify this space will be open to all residents within the development. So that might clarify in their CCRs regarding a commercial tract. So the commercial may not have that right to those spaces.
So the commercial doesn't have the right to those spaces, but I guess my question is what's being presented here is that there were promises that were made that people seem to reasonably rely on. I mean, that's what I'm hearing. I haven't seen documents and so on, that there would be a playground. And there was mention of a clubhouse. And I guess my question is, I guess as to the clubhouse, is that also in the documents, and to what extent Was there a right, is there an enforceable right that exists for those kinds of amenities now?
Not on the city we have as far as the PUD document. CCRs might have some information. That is a private document between the developer and the owner. I would say though, that in the areas of the tracks 1, 2, and 3, the developer did include at that present time that additional things like such R3, medium density, allow for public and private parks and playgrounds. So they do note that it could be there, but it doesn't say it has to be there unless it's in zone. With the land use allowance. Or not.
Okay, so nothing for the city to enforce, and if there is a claim, then it would be to the landowners. Well, I see. All right, thank you.
Anyone else on the board? Questions? Okay, not seeing any, okay. Okay. Therefore, bill number 3442 will now be held over for a second reading. Okay. And moving on to the agenda, bill number 3443.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3443 on its first reading by title only.
Second.
Okay. Okay, so bill number 3443, motion made by Alderman Galloway, second by Alderman Floor. All in favor of this motion, do so by show of hands. And it's affirmative.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Christian County for mutual aid.
I know at this time, staff comments. I think we have Phil Antire, who's here to speak on this.
For a new council, you guys are operating like a well-oiled machine. I will try to explain, well, nothing with the federal government or FEMA is really, I don't know if I can explain it in the middle of the last, but I'll try. When we have a large scale disaster, our goal is to get FEMA reimbursement for public assistance. So the money you expend is reimbursable from FEMA 75%. And most of the time, you can't handle the big disasters by yourself, so you ask other folks to come in and help. And they come in and they expend time, money, equipment, labor, and all the stuff. That is a reimbursable expense. But the first thing FEMA wants to see is an agreement. So to give an example, we'll take the fire department example. If Ozark asked Nixon to come over and help, and you're over here for a couple of days, they got a lot of personnel over time. So what happens is Nixon will send Ozark a bill. And that bill is reimbursable by FEMA. But they want to see that mutual aid agreement, and they're going to say, well, every day, Nixon comes over here and helps Ozark for free. So since there's a disaster, why should we reimburse it? And in that agreement, you'll see that there's a first aid out for free clause. And that's how we get around that. And so this way, if we have something happen, not from and all those costs can be reimbursed. But FEMA wants to see that mutual aid agreement. You guys have any questions?
Yes.
Ms. Mayor, I was just going to point out that we currently have a mutual aid agreement in place right now. So this isn't anything that's new. Not too long ago, we experienced a tornado on the north side of town. This is exactly the type of situation that we utilize this agreement for. So this isn't something that Mr. Amtower is just pitching for the first time. We are currently under an agreement, but this is a renewal of that agreement. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that.
Thank you for the clarification. Anyone, any questions? Okay. Thank you, sir, for your time. At this time, we'll open up for from the floor. Anyone has any want to speak for or against this bill? Not seeing any movement, therefore, this will, public hearing will be closed. I forgot to ask before, was anybody in Zoom? I forgot to ask that question. Oh, okay, okay. Okay. Any more board comments? Okay, not seeing any. Bill 3443 will now be held for its second reading. Okay. Now moving to item number 8. We got the second reading and final passage of bills. So bill number 3440.
Your Honor, I move that we place bill number 3440 on its second reading by title only, please.
There's
Second.
okay. Okay, bill number 343, motion was made by Alderman Snyder and seconded by Alderman Floor. All in favor of acting upon this motion, do so by show of hands. And
Your Honor, can you clarify the number? I believe you said 3443.
oh, I'm sorry, bill number 3440.
Yeah, but you just got it up there, it's
3440, yes.
Sorry about that. Okay, so it's affirmative.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into a contract with S&H Farm Supply Incorporated for a tractor.
At this time, any staff comments?
Have any questions, sir?
When will that piece of equipment be delivered to us?
Well, I'm hoping to get the I can't until I get the contract signed and then a couple of days later, it's in stock. There's 2 pieces that are not, but they'll be, they have 60 days that they need to deliver in the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Not Alderman Snyder.
I move that we adopt bill number 3440 as ordinance number 23-030.
Second.
Okay, so therefore, motion is adopt bill 3440 as ordinance 23-030. It was first by Alderman Snyder, second by Alderman Floor.
Alderman Galloway,
Aye.
Alderman Flores.
Aye.
Alderman Snyder,
Aye.
Alderman Alder,
Aye.
Alderman Hutchison. Alderman Owen. We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
Thank you. Number 9, we move to reports of officers, board and committees. We begin first with the city administrator, Steve Childers.
Mr. Mayor, I don't really have anything additional to add. That this is running very smooth. Great job tonight. That's all I'll say about that. But we can move on to the next written report.
Okay, next, the P&D report by Cameron Smith. As you'll see in your packet, there was the building permits and everything's been offered. Sir.
Nothing specific to add, but I'm happy to answer.
Yes.
James River Church, 2 permits. What are they doing?
They're doing, so they're kind of moving around the youth center area, doing some modifications to the site, expanding on the eastern wing of that building, for additional square footage space.
Okay. Nothing with the land they purchased back there, no.
Nothing with that. That land actually still in Canton.
Oh, well, okay. And then Yui Magoo's Restaurant?
Yes, it's in plan review right now. I believe they're on their second round of review comments, so hopefully in the next few weeks we'll get that wrapped up and then they get underway.
And do they have a timeline?
I knew that they're going to planning to start this one following the completion of the one on East Sunshine and Springfield. I suspect that once they get moving, it's probably about that 4 to 6 month time. In the existing building, they're remodeling. The structure frame is there. They're going to add a roof. The exterior walls are pretty much set. They are going to go ahead and tear out some of the asphalt pavement and repave just because of the issue.
Is that the car wash?
Yes.
You can use that?
Yep.
Okay, good. Oh, thank you.
Yes, I had one question for, sorry, you were thinking before.
I just had 2 questions. Burger King and El Puente. What's the status?
El Puente's been ready to go as soon as they want to open their doors. So my understanding is it's been a staffing concern that they are permitted. We're reviewing remodel plans on the inside right now. There's a couple different projects going on where they're doing a remodel inside and then a facelift on the outside. So we're reviewing that right now.
Okay, I've been hit up with questions and I want this out in the open tonight. Sonic, is there a second Sonic being proposed in the city of Ozark?
Yes, it's in review right now for permit. Dollar General on just crossing beach volleyball, it's just to the east of there, I believe it's east. I think it's east, yep, gotcha.
Then further east is strip malls, what's going,
Office warehousing, so kind of a small office space and roughly 5,000 square foot units. Little office in the front and then just kind of an open storage area in the.
I saw that they were setting up temporary trailers and stuff at Ford, and I see they got a permit and everything, so I guess they're going forward. Yeah.
Yes, they're doing a remodel of the exterior of the building and on the inside, and then kind of adding some outdoor sales space that's not just the parking, but more display, along with upgrading some of the signage.
And where's the Purple Panda?
Purple Panda, Big House Crab Shack, that building.
Oh, yeah.
They're looking at.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
anyone else? Thank you, sir. Next, we move to Park and Recreation. Ms. Sam?
I actually did want to draw your attention to the second page. 5 days ago, we had 105 kids on our waiting list for summer camp. And I think that just shows how great of a camp it is. Really proud of the staff for time and energy that it takes to do that. It's a really big deal to have many kids in our camp and trying to fight to get into our camp. I like that there's a waiting list because it means it's important, but I also don't like that there's a waiting list because that means 105 kids aren't getting serviced. And we're looking at some options. It's just, we're literally out of space. Like I have nowhere else to put them. We don't have a building that can take all these kids. I have them out in the park. I shove them in buses. I take them everywhere we can possibly go, and we're just out of space. So that shows that there's a need. When COVID hit, after that, there was a lot of daycare facilities and childcare facilities that actually ended up shutting down. And so I think that has really shown in like the statistics saying that we have 105 kids that are waiting to get into our camp. If I could take them, we would. I just don't have staff, and I also don't have the place to put 105 more kids and the transportation to get them around. So it's something that we're looking at. We're looking at some options, but just kind of put that nugget in there that it is a good program. Be really proud that that's something that the staff offers because it is awesome. I know Steve's kids attend, and like I said, it's a really good program, and I'm very proud of it. Goes into it. We're busy. That's all I can say. It's really busy. Let's see from our membership numbers that it's just crazy place.
Last year when James River did their switch, in which they're doing the renovation and closed their gym, I'm assuming that impacted the OC.
The first month of membership, we were up 800 memberships. The first close, we were up 800 memberships. And as you can see,
I could tell it got busy there. I'm sorry. I'm good. Yes.
That's okay. Do you see in the future a cap on the memberships of the OC?
No, what I think will happen is we're looking at extending hours and just trying to disperse it out. I would never want to set a cap on that because not everybody uses it at the same time and not everybody uses it for the same thing. So it would be a little unfair to do that. If we got to where we were like constantly breaking code, I would probably limit it at that time, but I don't see that happening. A lot of people want memberships for other reasons. It gives you a discount to youth programs. So it wouldn't make financial sense, and I would hate to ever limit that to citizens.
Snyder?
Yes, ma'am. In reference to the incident we had at the, how are the families doing and how is the staff doing?
The staff, there was 2 staff that were kind of involved in the situation. Both have, they took one, I think one of them took 1 day off, just taking some time. We've offered EAP counseling services, but neither one of them. I spoke to the family, they were very kind, they said, thank you, staff.
Okay, so we've reached out to the family since then, is that
They
correct?
reached out to us.
Thank you.
Any more questions regarding her first hat? If not, let's move on then to communication department.
And
Any question for Sam regarding the communication?
I have a thing.
Okay, yes.
Looking at this, it looks like we actually get a lot more. Is this based on per capita as far as, is this these charts showing how many page followers we have versus other municipalities, or is this where these people live that are following our pages?
it's where they live.
Okay,
It's done, like you can see where they're from, on
Yeah.
the report. It's actually really neat in constant contact. They have heat maps as well, where you can see where they open it and stuff. So we have a lot of data for this, but that's where they live. So it's gonna be just to see what sort of impacts we have.
just wanted to make sure I was reading that correctly.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much. Number 10 is miscellaneous comments or announcements from the board. You have a comment, or you just let your mic's on?
No,
sorry, Okay. Okay. Okay, item number 11. We actually are going to a closed session regarding real estate. I need a motion. Okay, Alderman Snyder
Second.
and Galloway seconded. So at this time, we are going to closed session, motion by Alderman Snyder, second by Alderman Galloway.
Yes. Alderman Alder.
Aye.
Alderman Flores.
Aye.
Alderman Galloway.
Aye.
Alderman Hutchinson.
Aye.
Alderman Owen. Alderman Snyder.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes, motion carries.
We are now moving to closed session. Okay, we're now up to item 12, adjournment, entertain a motion by,
Move to adjourn.
okay, Alderman Galloway, and second by Alderman. Okay, all in favor?
Not, they're just.
Oh, I didn't mention, yeah, it's Thursday.